Got that one. Come on. Looky there. That is a nice tilapia. Hey guys, Ryan Gill here with Hunt Primitive, where we entertain, educate, and inspire. And on this channel, we do a lot of primitive build and hunting videos, just like this one. So if you're new here, do please consider subscribing. So if you guys have been following my channel for any amount of time, you've seen I've done primitive fishing videos before. Most of that's been with the atlatl. I've had a lot of interest, people saying, why don't you do a bow fishing one specifically? So I said, you know what, let's do that. What I really want to do is look into some of the archaeological record and then also build whatever it is that I want to build and then go out and put it to practical use. That's how we do it. Gonna go out hunting for a whole weekend and quite honestly just gonna eat whatever we come up with, be it rabbit and fish or hogs or whatever. The creek in which we're fishing in has a ton of fish in it, so that is just a readily available source for meat. So I mean, what better opportunity? So we're going to take this deer antler. It's not perfectly straight, but it's relatively straight, a little bit of curvature, but we can actually grind and scrape that out. And if you've watched some of my other videos, I'm not going to go through the whole process in this one because it's a lengthy process, but we're going to do a combination of scraping with a piece of chert or flint and then also grinding on a flat rock. And we'll be able to turn this into a socket fit style of projectile. Got that one. Great shot. First shot of the day, actually, believe that or not. So I just came and checked by this culvert. See, look at that, my pants are still dry. First shot of the day. On the moon. Looky there. That is a nice tilapia. All right. I'll show you what we're working with. I'll just go ahead and slide them off the back of that arrow, just like that. That's a pretty nice fish. Shooting a hickory bow, and I just made this yucca bowstring. I've never had a lot of success with plant fiber cord strings before. Then we got bone socket. It's all primitive, socketed into a long cane arrow with no fletching. So that's the first shot and first kill actually with that bowstring. Let's go ahead and we'll kill this fish and prepare to make sure we cook this one up and eat it here in a little bit. Now what I've noticed in the archaeological record is that the points actually do not have any barbs on them whatsoever. Now what I did was, in an experiment, is I just made some out of cow bone and ground them down, and I wanted to cut a barb in it anyway, just in case, because I kind of wanted to see, you know, why on earth wouldn't they use one? Because I had some suspicions that the arrow would just penetrate far enough into the fish that they never had to get hooked on it. They just, the shaft immobilizes them. And that really seems to be what I saw in this thus far. Is occasionally you might get one that doesn't penetrate super far if it's like really deep in the water, and it may pull off. But overall, like I said, the ones that you find that are archaeological relics, those are artifacts. Those are not barbed at all. They're not overly large. And the important thing is they're made out of either bone or antler, because wood softens just too much in the water, and so it deforms and it won't penetrate a fish, especially something very hard like a gar. But antler or bone is that tip that you need that'll really punch through. Now, the effort that you put into, say, something like a stone point, while stone is very, very sharp, it is also very brittle, so it's going to break a lot easier than a conical shaped antler or bone point. And of course, these are just like friction fit socketed into the end of a cane arrow that's reinforced with like sinew or yucca cord or something, and then coated with pine pitch that's going to help waterproof it and also help hold it together. And that keeps the shaft from splitting because it's not a fit that you can take these in and out readily. They're very, very much force friction fitted, and the more you use them, the more you hit things, the tighter that the fit actually gets. Now eventually they can either break off or pull out completely. Now what we did learn was you can actually get too thin on these points and then they simply snap, especially when you hit something like a gar. We've had that happen. So now we're finding that real threshold of what's thick enough, what's too thick, and do we need the barbs, do we not need the barbs. And thus far now I understand why they don't put barbs on them. It's all the extra time invested into making the point, when in reality you don't need that extra barb in there to begin with, and all it does is actually create a little bit of a weak point. So this way we're just going to go ahead and in the future make these without barbs, but in this video we did use ones with barbs that, again, like I said, didn't really need the barb. Knock the slime off that fish. So we got a fire going. Set this guy up here in the grass, and we're gonna let all that wood just burn right down into a big nice pile of coals, and we're gonna cook that fish and have us a nice creekside lunch. And while that's burning down, I may tinker on over and see about shooting another fish, but it doesn't matter too much. We'll make sure we eat that one for lunch. If we get another one, well, then we got dinner too. A few good gar in here. It's just not worth shooting amongst the rocks for a gar at this point. Ah, there's a tilapia. Couple good tilapia up here, if I can get them to cooperate. Close. Oh, that was as close as a guy could get without getting one. Man, that was in there. Right in there next to him. Well, looks like our fire is burning down, so maybe we'll get these arrows and getting ready to put that fish on. And while the fish is cooking, we'll see if we can't shoot another. Beautiful mud bottom. It's relatively hard mud. You don't sink in too much. It's just sand. Florida sand. Be a nice little beach type setting to hang out. Yeah, looks like those coals are getting about where we need them. So I think, go ahead and knock them down. I think we're just about ready to lay that fish on. Best thing to do, in my opinion, if you're talking about a creekside primitive way to cook a fish, that is the best way. You just leave them skin, scales and all. I gutted it. You don't even have to gut them, honestly, but I gutted it anyway because I knew it'd be a little bit till I cooked it. But just lay it right on the coals, and when it is done, that skin will just peel back all by itself, and the skin will keep the meat really moist as well, and protect it from all that ash. But even if you eat ash, you don't even notice it. It's not like sand. It's not like it's got grit in it. So tell you what, we're gonna let that go ahead and bake up a little bit. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get a shot at something else. But I said I'm not too worried if I kill something at this point or not. We got lunch. Gar. Let's shoot at those. Got one. Got one. Got one. Perfect. Safe to say we got that one. Shot right through his tail section. Beautiful. Whew. Get him up here. Whoa. All right, I got a gar to cook for dinner then. Now, so that's pretty handy. While you're cooking fish, you're right here by the creek. Go ahead and see if you can't skewer another, so you have some for dinner. Getting blood over my hickory bow, but that's all right. It'll color it up nice. All right. Fish is looking pretty good. I'm gonna wash up here quick. That gar slime off me. Bet you that side's getting about done. Just grab them there. Give them a whoops. Give them a flip. Now it looks rugged, but it's not. All that stuff will peel off super easy, and we'll have a really good fish to eat. So all we want to do is just kind of drag it right off the coals. Oh yeah, its face wants to fall off, so that's good. Start to peel a little bit easier than when it's super hot. So just give it a couple minutes. But the skin and the scales and everything will just pop right off. So, there we go. And then when you're done with this side, you can flip it over and basically do the rest. But come in here and just flake all that meat right up out. And it's good and moist too, because it was cooked inside its own skin. Hey, look at that. Nice. Nice piece of white fish right there. I'm gonna let her cool a little bit. Then we can eat. So that's some really nice fluffy white meat there on that fish. It's pretty good. Oh, still hot. Good stuff. Creekside. And if you're extra smart and plan ahead, know you're staying at camp for a while, bring a little thing of seasoning with you. It's not bad by itself, but I tell you what, anything tastes super good when you're hungry around hunting camp. During the day when you're not hunting, perfect time to just go get fish, but you know, when you've got good seasoning on it too, that's another whole new ballpark, whole new ball game, I should say. Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, well then when it comes to the gar, see what we're gonna do is we're gonna save him for dinner. We're gonna head out to go pig hunting here before too long. So you take a green stick and just run it right through that wound channel, and we're gonna put him up here in the shallows. We're in a pretty shallow area, so unless a gator just happens to be cruising along through here, I don't think we're gonna lose him. But we'll pin him down pretty good, and you know, here in about another hour or so, I think it's when we're gonna head out pig hunting. So he'll be totally fine. This creek's running, it's cool water. It'll keep him much cooler than just laying up in the sun baking. And I don't know if you've seen me do gar before, but we'll just lay it right on the coals the same way as I did that tilapia. And when it's done, that hard armored shell, it'll just pop right open, and you can scoop those big back straps out of this stuff. So I got, like I said, about another hour. I'll go see if I can maybe shoot one more for dinner, but if not, that'll be fine. It's just good to plan ahead when you've got, you know, camp meals and stuff. We'll come back after dark and throw that on a fire, just like we did with that. We'll have good eating for tonight if we don't get a pig.